Hey there, potential patrons. My name is Zena, but please call me Stitch. This is my, I want to say, third year doing Patreon. I'm honestly not sure at this point because it's been on and off. And I'd like to talk a bit about what I do, what I plan to do in the future, and why I'm not going to be doing as much fandom criticism as I did in the past. If you're interested in supporting me, just skip on ahead and become a patron. But here's some backstory. As you can see by my iHeart Grad School t-shirt, I was a graduate student. As of April 2018, I've graduated with my Master's of Arts in English Literature, and I primarily focused on media criticism and analyzing the things we like, the things we consume, and putting it into a cultural context. That was what I did with my thesis, which was on the Joker and queer coding. One of the things I want to do before the year is out is rework my thesis for the general public so that you guys can get a more accessible look at the commentary that I'm trying to make. And the changes that I wasn't able to flesh out in full, like the things I want to see DC do better at in terms of queer coding villains. So I have, again, a Master of Arts in English, and surprisingly, that is not a degree that I seem to be able to find work with. Patreon is a really important aspect of my online life as a creator. I write fiction and nonfiction. You can find my reviews and articles across the internet. I have a whole page on my website, and at the bottom of it has my links to other websites where I'm posted. My fiction can be primarily read on my website, but you can find it in 2 or 3 books. I have 3 stories across 3 different books. And hopefully, because I'm a slow writer, I'll have another book coming out at some point, either end of this year or next year, because I have messed up and I'm slow. I am currently living with my elderly mom, and while she is the current breadwinner in my family, she has health issues. That means she cannot really work, or she shouldn't be working. And I would like to ease the load or ease the burden of having to be the breadwinner. Right now, Patreon is a pretty great way for me to somewhat manage living expenses, like food, formerly health insurance. That's a long story. And I would like to see it become a way for me to make something of a living wage, or cover a majority of my living expenses. And that means putting out more content, which is a major goal for me. I am a relatively small fish, but I sure as heck know what I'm talking about. Let's see. So next, I want to talk about changes to the general formatting. I'm not changing my tiers. I have 3 tiers. $1, you get snippets of articles that will be published in full later on. At the $3 tier or $5 tier, at the $3 tier, you get finished articles that will be published on my website eventually. And at the $5 tier, you get Patreon exclusives that I have no plans to publish anywhere. You will also get, as soon as I figure out a better recording schedule, further episodes of Talking Tropes, which is where I analyzed and appreciate, dissect all that cool stuff, tropes in the fiction we love, and put my own spin on it, and provide recommendations both to traditional novels or stories and fan fiction. I have been contemplating adding a $10 tier that is specifically for like once a month. I'll do chapters. I'll do chapter analysis of, like, you can send me a chapter of something you're working on and I will edit it or give you feedback, because that's something I have experience with. I have I was the assistant editor on a giant Routledge guide to product and operations management, which is not my field in terms of business, but it is, editing is like a thing I do. So if you guys are interested in that, that's something I may be adding, but I'm not changing it any further than that. One of the things I've decided I'm stepping back from a bit for a little while is direct fandom criticism. The Star Wars fandom, Voltron fandom, and the Flash fandom are three of my biggest and most hated fandoms. And I spent too much time talking about them. And the fans don't appreciate my nuanced critique as much as I'd like them to. And at the end of the day, it isn't worth it. You know, the fandom isn't going to change, Lucasfilm isn't going to change, that sort of thing. So I'm taking a break to rethink how I do fandom analysis and things that are already in progress, like what fandom racism looks like. There may be another cinnamon roll post, but that I would actually like to see a couple of guest posts with other men of color who aren't Black. I'm kind of working with like a pitch to someone so they'll write about Yuri Katsuki from Yuri on Ice and someone else on Scott McCall and Teen Wolf, because he's played by Mexican-American actor Tyler Posey. So we'll see. But the last post on my blog, Who the Heck is Ben Solo, is going to be my last big wow, the Star Wars fandom sucks post until closer to episode 9, because once I see what they're doing with Redemption, Kylo Ren, and that sort of thing, I can put the finishing touches on a piece that I've actually wanted to do, which literally just looks at who is redeemable and what does redemption actually mean in the context of Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, and a couple of other Star Wars characters like Ciena Ree, I believe, and even just the idea of shifting motivations in the Star Wars universe. So it's something I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a little lengthy post, but I'm working on tackling my biases about Kylo Ren, but also just looking at the reality of redemption arcs. So it's going to be interesting, and that will happen next year at the end. I'm going to be focusing more on writing about writing, actually. Urban Fantasy 101 is actually my main passion in terms of series or pieces that I do, and I want to expand it to do more recommendations for readers. I have 2 primers already, the one on shifter romances, and an upcoming one which should be next week on vampires in the genre. I'm trying to do more book reviews for that series, and I want to talk more to authors in the genre, and also I want to define my view of urban fantasy so that you guys, when you click on Urban Fantasy 101, you know what you're getting. My main goal is always to help. Even at my snarkiest, all I want is to help, because it's very difficult to make yourself listen to things you really, really don't want to. And I know as a writer, as a reader, sometimes I'm just like, wow, I don't want people telling me what to do. And all I can do as myself is make sure that I attempt to educate as best as I can. Snark comes along, but comes from a good place. What else? I'll be asking for help, asking you guys to help me figure out what I can do to better serve you as somebody who wants to educate and be informative about diversity in fiction and in fandom. I have a couple other things that I definitely need to be focusing on in terms of what I want to do for Patreon, and I'll talk more about that once things get settled with me and my mom. I moved in with her on July 28th, and things are slow going. She's still health issues, and I am still jobless. You may be able to tell by the air mattress I'm sleeping on that we don't have a lot of money, and so focusing on money and trying to get a job has really cut into me creating. And so Patreon helps me worry less and create more. There will be, as in the coming months, more Patreon exclusive stuff. I'm trying to think about what I can do and where it will fit on the different tiers. Again, I'll be maybe doing polls, I will tweet things. Fiction already started making a reappearance on my Patreon with Viper versus the Major Mansplainer, and that will continue. And since all of my fiction is either going to be posted on my website or eventually pitched somewhere, if I can, you guys will have access to most of what I write, as long as it's not fan fiction. I still don't feel comfortable putting fan fiction on Patreon. I will be providing links to things I'll be doing and my support links in terms of PayPal, my book wish list, because right now I can't afford to buy books to review or research, which is terrible. And my goal is to be really transparent about what I'm doing in terms of creating and what I need out of life so that I can manage my writing, create content, and help people figure out the best way to get their work across. And I really appreciate my patrons and people who share my links, even if they're not patrons. I really would not have been able to survive grad school and beyond without you helping me out every step of the way, supporting my writing, giving me really great advice on how to be more accessible. And I'm going to try my best to give back to you guys. I would love any feedback that y'all give or can give, and I hope to see you guys, if you're new, commenting more. If you're old, commenting more, and generally just being a part of my creative journey as I want to be a part of your creative journey. So thank you very much for watching this. I hope that, if you're a new patron, you enjoy the ride, and if you're an old patron, you stick around. I'm hoping to get some really cool stuff out there. And honestly, the Joker thing is going to be great, so you guys really can't miss it. All right, signing out. Thanks.